guys like a big list of assignments last week. We're doing a little bit smaller of a week this week, so there's only 2 assignments. No assignment today. We will have an assignment Thursday and Friday, but Thursday's assignment is the ed puzzle, and then Friday's assignment is like a slide, and you just have to drag things. So no hard math this week. We just wanted to give you time to kind of catch up. So go ahead in the chat, type in the answer to the attendance question. Do you like Instagram or Facebook better? Okay, so today we're gonna do the bell ringer and then the lesson, and then it's just a catch-up day. So for the first one, I did it for you, domain, and then the range. So then input, what's the word that goes with input? That's the opposite. We talked about it last week. Output, good job, Diego, yes. So input and output, and then for the last one, we have blank and y value. So what's the opposite of y value in math? X value, good job, Diego, perfect. So this is just kind of stuff we went over last week, but we're gonna review it again today. So I'm going to switch over to the document camera, and I'm going to be in my Big Ideas notebook on page 59 if you have one and would like to take notes with me. So let me stop sharing this. Okay, so I'm in the Big Ideas notebook on page 59 if you would like to join along in taking notes with me. Today is just going to be a lecture, so just listen and take notes. So chapter 3, lesson 1, functions. So what is a function? So we're going to be describing if something is a function or is not. Okay, so functions can be described in many ways by an equation. So y equals x plus 3, or any equation that has y and an x in it. By an input-output table, so where it's like this, x, y, and then 0 and 1 and 2 and 3. So that's an input-output table. And then using words by a graph or as a set of ordered pairs. So these are ordered pairs. So explain why the graph shown represents a function. So this graph, explain why it represents a function. It represents a function because it's in a straight line. So we did vocab last time, and we had 2 words, function and relation. So a relation is pairs of inputs and outputs, and a function is a type of relation that pairs each input with exactly one output. So each x value has only one y value. So this graph is a function because each x value, so when x is at 2, y is at 4. When x is at 3, y is at 2. When x is at 4, y is at 0. So each x value has only one y value. So that makes it a function. So we're going to come down here to identifying functions. So determine whether each relation represents a function. So right here I have 0, 8, 1, 8, 2, and 8, 3, and 8, and 4, and 8. So basically I'm just saying if yes, it's a function, or no, it is not a function. And so for this first one, it is a function, yes, because there is only one. So if I were to graph it, so when x is at 0, y is at 8. When x is at 1, y is at 8. When x is at 2, y is at 8. So it's a straight line across like this. So yes, it is a function. And then B, we have 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, and then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I were to try and graph this as coordinate pairs, 8, 0, 8, 1, 8, 2, it wouldn't be a straight line. So when x is at 8, y is at 1, or y is at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so each input has multiple outputs. Remember how I said there can only be one y value for each x value? Well, there's multiple y values for the same x value. So no, not a function. Okay, moving on to different ways to show functions. So this one is an input-output table. So I have my x's on this side and my outputs on this side. So each x value can only have how many y values? Type it in the chat. 1. Good job, Alexis. So if I look here, this is my x, 1, 8, 2, 9, 3. I have 10 and 11. So that's 2 y values for one x value. So this means no, it is not a function. Okay, next we move on to D, which is the graph. So another way we can test if something is a function is to use the vertical line test. So this is a vertical line. And so I'm going to use my pen as my vertical line. And if I put my pen on any x value, it should only go through one y value. So at 0, there's only 1. At 1, there's 1. 2, there's 1. 3, there's 1. 4, there's 1. But then when we get to 5, there's 2 dots. So that means it's not a function because there should only be 1 point that my vertical line goes through. So not a function. Another way we can tell is if we were to graph this, it's not a straight line. And in order to be a function, it has to be a straight line. Okay, so here's the vocab we did last time. And then this is what the bell ringer was: input, output, x value, y value, domain, and range. So if you hear the word input, x value, or domain, you know we're talking about x. And if you hear output, y value, or range, you know we're talking about y. So that's just some vocab to be familiar with. Okay, so once again, we have the vertical line test, which we already talked about. So this one is a function because it's a straight line and the vertical line only goes through 1 point. This one, though, is not a function because the vertical line goes through 2 points, up here and right here. So I'm going to draw one and you guys are going to put in the chat if it's a function or not. So A and then B. So is A a function?
Yes.
Good job. Yes, I got 2 yeses. Okay, but then we come over here to B. My pen is dying.
No.
Is B a function? No, because it's a circle. So if I were to draw a line here, it goes through 2 points. If I were to draw a line here, it goes through 2 points. Remember, it can only go through 1 point to be a function. Okay? And then I used this example last week when I was talking about this, but the domain, range, and range are, domain is all possible inputs, the range is all possible outputs. And if it helps your brain to think of it as a little machine, you put your X value into the machine, it goes through the machine, which is your equation, and then your Y value comes out because it's been solved by the machine. So that just might be a helpful way to think about it. All right, do you guys kind of understand functions? It has to have, an X value has to have only one Y value. It has to pass the vertical line test, and it needs to be something that you can graph to be a function. So that's what I want you guys to take away from today's lesson. I'll post these notes in our Google Classroom so that you can see them if you'd like to refer back to them or make a copy yourself. Today, the rest of today is just going to be catch-up day. So if you need to finish assignments that were due yesterday,